Everyone knows now that President Russell Marian's health has been a source of speculation. Since turning 100, he has been hospitalized multiple times, and his doctors do not offer him much hope. It's becoming increasingly apparent that he's dying. The life of President Nelson was extraordinary. In addition to being a pastor, he helped build a prosperous family business. With over 17 million followers, the main issue is, will this be his last birthday? We can examine the evidence and his most current medical report. Russell Marian Nelson came into this world in Salt Lake City, Utah on September 9, 1924. Edna Mar Nelson and Maren Smart were his parents. A brother and two sisters make up his family. Before rising through the ranks to become Gillum Advertising's general manager and reporter for the Desert News. Though they did send him and his siblings to Sunday school, his parents were not practicing members of the Latter-day Saint faith. At the age of 16, he joined the church and was baptized there. When he was younger, he was interested in many things. He worked part-time at a bank, a photo studio, and the post office while assisting his father with his advertising business. Office as a football player and member of the school debate team, Russell Nelson also played the piano. His aspiration to become a cardiac surgeon led him to joke that he would take special care of his hands. He wound up making a livelihood by slicing people open, so clearly that was a major problem. Russell Nelson frequently shared his lovely voice in church services. The voice of his future wife, Dancel White, was equally stunning. Hearing Mrs. Wright sing gave him the clue that he had arrived at his destination. He tied the knot with her 3 years down the road on August 31, 1945. Prior to becoming a mother, Dancel completed her bachelor's degree and taught for a while. She sacrificed a lot for the sake of her family's success. Nelson and Dancel made the decision to start a family. They were married with 6 daughters between them. They ended up having 10 kids and providing them with the best life they could afford. Both Danelle and Russell passed away peacefully in Salt Lake City in 2005. She had Nelson by her side. Teen and adult Nelson was always on the go. He was an assistant secretary at a bank and attended LDS Business College when he was in his mid-teens. He became a member of Sigma Chi's Beta Upsilon chapter after enrolling at the University of Utah in his senior year of high school. After finishing college, he got his degree in 1945, having joined Phi Beta Kappa and earned a BA. And if that weren't impressive enough, he also attended medical school at the University of Utah. After finishing medical school, Nelson was named valedictorian of his class. His young age was barely 22. During his residency after medical school, he developed the heart-lung machine, which aided in the first human open heart surgery. He performed this procedure at the University of Minnesota. Russell Nelson's research led to his doctorate from the University of Minnesota. In the faith, he was referred to as a prophet, seer, and revelator after his fame as a heart surgeon. At the University of Utah, where Russell Nelson was a medical student in the 1920s, it was against the law to operate on human hearts. It was instilled in him that touching a beating heart would cause it to cease its beating. He thought this was ridiculous. Can you imagine a world where human hearts could be revived? What if, together with his colleagues, they discovered a way to offer patients a second opportunity? He gathered a group of individuals who shared his interests because he was curious. While completing his residency and doctorate at the University of Minnesota, Mines tested the first heart-lung bypass machine, a testament to his fascination with the human heart. Because it was unthinkable in 1948, he contributed to the first machine that could sustain a dog's life for 30 minutes. Tested on actual humans, but it was immobile due to its size. Never one to give up, Nelson and his colleagues returned to the drawing board in search of inspiration for a new heart-lung bypass machine that could fit in an operating room. And you know what? Work on this device was aided by Nelson's late wife, Dancel. Nelson had great skill as a bioengineer and surgeon. A human subject underwent testing of the novel apparatus in March 1951. Despite the patient's death during surgery, the complex case brought Nelson and his team one step closer to solving the mystery. The hardworking physicians were starting over. When Nelson got back to Utah in 1955, he took a position as director of the Department of Thoracic Surgery and assistant professor of surgery. He made improvements to the heart-lung bypass machine while he was a resident in surgery at that institution. On November 9, 1955, this apparatus was utilized in the first open-heart surgery performed in Utah. Vernell Worthen, who underwent surgery to repair an atrial septal defect, lived a long and healthy life following the procedure. Thus, Russell Nelson found long-term. When he had a clear idea of what he wanted and how it should function, the hospital commissioned a machine shop to manufacture the device. A complete repair of a 4-year-old girl's tetralogy of Fett was Nelson's first successful pediatric cardiac operation in March 1956. He was a pioneer in valvular surgery and oversaw other procedures that treated coronary artery disease. In 1960, he successfully treated tricuspid valve regurgitation on a stake patriarch of the Latter-day Saint faith for the first time. Because of this, blood can actually flow backwards into the upper chamber of the heart. Dr. Nelson performed a number of aortic valve replacements after being the first to treat it in 1968. Spencer W. Kimball would go on to become the LDS Church president. Another landmark for Nelson came in 1985, when he traveled to Jinan, China to perform quadruple bypass surgery on Fang Rangxiang, a famous Chinese opera singer. Even though it was his final operation, the Fang family is eternally grateful to him and refers to him as an old friend of China president. The Lifetime Achievement Award was bestowed upon Nelson. His groundbreaking work as a cardiac surgeon and researcher earned him one of 3 2018 Governor's Medals for Science and Technology from the state of Utah. Among his numerous accolades are the Golden Heart, the American Heart Association's Heart of Gold Award, and the University of Utah's Distinguished Alumni Award. 3 Chinese universities have also bestowed honorary professorships upon him. His name appears in multiple editions of the prestigious reference books Who's Who, World, America, and Religion. He visited Illinois in the fall of 1965 to investigate a job offer to head the cardiothoracic surgery unit at the University of Chicago. An argument had broken out between him and his wife when he arrived. Damsel and his wife discovered an ideal community in which to bring up their 9 daughters. The research and professional opportunities piqued his interest, but he remained uncertain about the job itself. He crossed paths with H. Oakes and June, a young law professor from Chicago, one night. Despite Dr. Nelson's disinterest, Dee did all in his power to convince him to accept the offer after he informed them about the opportunities in Chicago. He wanted to hear back from one last person because he was really enthusiastic about the job. He paid a visit to the church president, David O. McKay, a few days later. Dr. Nelson would be promoted to department head. His salary would be 5 times higher. The school would cover the cost of his children's education, and he would receive many other benefits, according to President McKay. Russell Nelson declined the offer at President David's request. Even though any reasonable man with a wife and 9 daughters would have accepted, with this he was able to prepare for a Nelson was a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles for 34 years before being made the 17th president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. While the quorum was in session, he would play the organ and address the members in their native tongues. He has earned a reputation as the Quorum of 12's top writer. While serving as an apostle, President Nelson dedicated churches in 133 different countries. While stationed at the church's Utah headquarters, he facilitated its expansion into China and Eastern Europe. Missionary, temple, and family history executive councils, as well as the priesthood and family executive council, were all headed by him. Thomas S. Monson, the 16th president of the church, passed away on January 2, 2018. The 12 most senior quorum members took over as leaders after he left. On January 14, 2018, the church's 17th president, Russell Marian Nelson, was ordained and set apart. Todd Christofferson, a senior apostle in the church, made the announcement via broadcast from the Salt Lake Temple. This followed the installation of the church's new leadership. One of the most important roles in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is that of president, who holds the highest office in the organization. Those in charge of this religion consider the president to be a prophet, among other titles. President Russell is the only one who receives revelations from God, according to members of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. He is also considered the highest priesthood authority on earth. No matter where we live, people who are a part of the church feel strongly about the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God, as President Nelson said once. Serving our fellow humans, no matter where we may be in this magnificent world, is, thus, the source of our deepest happiness. The reason behind his church's distribution of $1,300,000,000